What's up, Change the Channel podcast listeners? My name is Megan Grace, and as promised, this is the second part of my conversation with Adrienne. I hope you enjoyed everything that we talked about so far, and she just has so much wisdom, and there's so much to be said, so many channels to be changed when it comes to the way that we think about our sexual health, STIs, and also the aging process and the way that we show up online. And yeah, there was just way too much to cram into one episode. So here we go. Get ready. Part 2 of the conversation with Adrienne on Change the Channel podcast. I have another little thing. So I turned 41 this year, and I've been noticing that my body is it feels like every decade my body changes shape in some way. Like nothing really is different in my life except my hormones, I think, are doing something. And so I wanted to have a minute to hype up and talk about what it feels like to be sexy in your 40s, because I feel like I did a couple episodes of going off of hormonal birth control for me and relearning my body. And I've gotten a lot of feedback that this age and this era of being in your 40s, we're kind of rebranding it. I feel like our generation's we're still hot, still got it. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what is feeling super sexy in your 40s.
Oh my God, my body's been changing a lot too, and I have definitely gotten thicker
Okay, we
over
love.
the years, which is working to my advantage because I've honestly never gotten so much attention before in my life as I walk down the street from both men and women.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, I mean, I know I look good, but I didn't think it
Yeah.
was that good. I mean, okay, I'll take it. So I feel very juicy in my body, and it's very, very
Mm,
different because I kind of had the orthorexia growing up where I was obsessed with my weight and obsessed with eating healthy and obsessed with, being skinny and thin and this version of attractive that everybody, these standards that, we all had. But now that that's changing, luckily, and I've never gotten more attention in my life, I'm like, okay, my sex drive is higher than it's ever been, which
yes.
sometimes it's to my disadvantage sometimes because I have to really control myself that my vagina isn't making poor decisions on my behalf. Um, and yeah, I just feel just more confident. I don't give a fuck either at this
Mm,
point. I'm just like, if I disclose I have herpes and you're not okay with it, it's fine because I know the next person will be. So bye. Or I
mm.
used to have a meltdown, you
Yeah.
know? Those are just some of the things that I'm noticing. Yeah, it's definitely harder to lose the weight. I'm working out, I'm, doing my steps, but I'm also not I'm enjoying my life. I eat very healthy, but I also indulge in my favorite things in moderation. I love to drink some, here I love to drink
Uh-huh.
wine, could I cut down on that? Maybe, but it's kind
Maybe.
of my vice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I'm noticing. My periods have kind of changed a little bit.
Okay.
They've gotten longer and heavier,
Okay.
which is annoying. And that's it. Oh, night sweats.
Okay.
Night sweats big time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So so you're hot day and night then is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have hot sweats?
I think I've always run warm. I don't feel like I don't wake up sweating, but also me and my mom don't sweat much at all anyway. Like even when I'm working out or even if I'm it's weird. It's almost like my body just retains all of it. But yeah, I'm definitely noticing, my midsection is softer and my hips feel a little bit wider. And I feel so confused about what clothes to wear. I'm always like, what is going on? Like all of this, this stuff that I'm like, okay, this used to really fit me and feel like me. And now I keep picking stuff. I'm also 5'11". So like, are you a tall lady too?
Yeah, I'm 5'9".
Love, love. So it's tricky, right? Because you're like, okay, I've got like little waist, like, banging booty and hips and all of that and trying to find clothes that feels good. Honestly, it's the clothes that make me feel more self-conscious than my body. I think my body
Yeah,
almost looks better when I'm naked, I think.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
jeans don't feel comfortable anymore. I put on jeans that I had a year ago. They don't fit. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
And then I'm like, should I go to and then I'm trying not to like obsess over it and just, embrace it and accept it and just be very compassionate with myself about it.
Hmm.
And still I do my 10,000 steps a day. I go to the gym regularly. I'm sweating it out, but like it's harder to lose the weight. Also around the bra line, I'm
Mm,
too.
yeah.
Like,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is very interesting. And also I'm like, why I mean, I think it's that conditioning, the growing up in the 80s and being and maybe even before that and just being like drilled into you that tiny is better. And it's like, I don't know. I'm 5'11". I've been tall my whole life. I've never fit into any molds in that way. And it just it's a channel that I'm working really hard to change in my own life to be kind to myself and to I had a friend actually say, she's like, we're asking to expand sort of your queendom in your life, like you want to have a more expansive reach and you want to be able to like bring more people into the work that you do and help free them from the things that this is a lot of expansive energy. Why wouldn't the vessel that's doing it also expand too, to be sturdy and stable and like sweet and have like an air of softness to it, like I don't think we have to be so hard all the time. Like some
Oh my
softness
God.
is actually important.
Totally. Like with the changes that I've noticed in my body over the past year, I've been a little bit self-conscious about it because I'm like, wow, things are changing. Everybody tells you that things change and then you never think it'll happen. Well, it does.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, wow, trying to embrace it, trying not to, worry too much about it and just, like I was saying, be super kind and loving with myself. And then I get that comment the other day from a random follower telling me that I need to lose weight and that I would be sexier and hotter if I lost weight. And I was like,
Ugh.
oh, I was so upset just for so many reasons. But because I've been feeling a little bit self-conscious about that. And like also it didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And how do people have the audacity to say that? But like, and again, that goes just with I don't know. So many things I could say about that. It was so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And it's
mean,
like I guess this is what I was going to say to what you're saying, like trying to be softer with myself about that and be like, it's okay if you gained a little bit of weight this year. You can
hmm
lose it, but your body is changing. You're 43 years old. Like this is, a part of being a woman.
hmm yeah. Well, and to your comment about that comment, I feel like number one, when you're talking to someone on the internet that is showing their face and being brave and sharing intimate things about their life to help you, be kind. Like you're talking to a real ass person. You're not talking to a bot. This isn't a place for you to air, like, I don't know, air your unkind thoughts. Like, why? How does that benefit anyone? Putting down women, when women put down each other, nobody wins because women are already in a space where we're needing to try to build our own selves up. And so let's help each other with that. And in the world of social media, be responsible as you are taking in content. And just like you wouldn't probably go up to someone in their retail store, can you imagine going up to the receptionist and being like, I mean, you'd look better if you lost weight. No one does that shit, but they will happily, like anonymously, more or less, type it to someone. Let's be kind with each other and build each other up, especially as women.
Yeah. I was like, bitch, if you even tried to say that to my face, you wouldn't even, because if you saw the size of me, first of all, I'm built like a brick shit house. I'm fit too. Like, I'm a strong girl, strong, thick, and tall and curvy. Like, nobody fucks with me. But before I blocked her, I called her out on it. And I was like, you should keep opinions like that to yourself.
Hmm.
It's rude. And she was like, well, you're the one who's putting yourself out there online like this. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This old, she must like typical Karen type of lady, but like, I don't know this woman. I don't even know. She said one thing to me once 6 months ago. And like the only person that would ever be able to say something like that to me, not hopefully and not in that same way, but
Hmm.
my mother is the only person that could. And my mom has in the past said to me, just wanted to let, and I've asked her
Hmm.
this as well, tell me if I've noticeably gained some weight because have always
Hmm.
been a bit self-conscious about that. And she has in a loving, kind way. And I appreciate that directness. But for some fucking random woman who I don't even know, who doesn't know me, to come on and have the audacity and have the what's the word I'm looking for? Entitlement to tell me something like
Mm.
that just because I'm showing up online. It was so disheartening. And it's just like I get trolled all the time. I get a lot of really awful comments from men on my TikTok about herpes and all that stuff. That I just I brush that off now. But from a woman, that just hits different. And
Mhm.
it's, I still look amazing. It's not, I wouldn't be hotter if I lost weight, actually.
Right.
Thanks. I've never felt hotter in my life. I've never gotten more attention in my life.
Yeah.
But ugh.
Yeah. Well, it's that thing of like, to what gain? Like to what end? And also, like you were saying, your mom, you number one asked her, like this was I mean, I think people communicate with each other for like four different reasons: to either commiserate about something, to critique someone, to commune and create connection, or to show that you have competency about something. And I feel like you gave your mom a, can we connect over this, please? Like there's earned rapport. There is, it's for your benefit. She also probably knows your journey. And so she would know, you know, the time and place, and also probably be a support system. Like this
Yeah,
person putting out a random comment, it's not like she's like, girl, let's go to the gym together, or let's like, you know, I'm also in a similar boat. I just got this smoothie recipe and I'm just like, girls helping girls, whatever. It's like you didn't ask for that. You didn't consent to be critiqued.
no,
And just because you are on the internet doesn't mean that you're consenting to be critiqued. You're there to share information. That's wild.
exactly. I know I was so upset about it. Still am,
Yeah.
but not as bad.
Well, good. I was feeling feisty for you, honestly. I was like, no one talks to her like this. I was like, come be on my podcast and tell the world all these amazing, magical things about you, because that's how I see you.
Thank you. Well, that's nice to hear because sometimes I forget, like I'm just here in my living room doing this stuff. And sometimes I forget, how much it helps people. So
Hmm.
it's always nice to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. It's back to what you were saying. You started a journey to help heal yourself, and then you noticed the needs that other people had around the same thing, and that started community. And so I really believe more than ever right now, in the climate of the way that the world is, like we need to learn how to do community better. And people have lost a lot of those simple but important primal ways of being with each other. And part of it is seeing the other person as a human and thinking, would I say that? Would I like someone to say that to me? Probably
No.
not.
No. Especially would I say this to this person's face?
Yeah.
Doubt it. I doubt
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
Okay. So I have another question then. So with because we know that stress affects our vaginal health, and you are a proponent of healthy vagina living, when you are getting stress coming in these forms, these ways, can you maybe hit on like one or two kind of simple baseline things that you do to help like recalibrate your feeling of stress and feel like, back in your body after this? Because I'm sure you're not the only person that this stuff happens to.
THC, uh, weed. Um, yeah, I take these edibles. They're just like 5 milligram supplements, 5 milligram THC, 5 milligram CBD supplements. And I swear to God, I am in the couch. It's an indica, and I'm literally in the couch, and I don't even worry about anything. No,
Mm.
I don't do that every day, only. Um, Magnesium is very good. Um, Yoga, meditation, breath work, walking outside in nature,
Mm.
the water, and sleep, prioritizing my sleep. I'm not a very good sleeper. I'm a very light sleeper. I have a hard time um sleeping, but I really have to prioritize my sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, I always have a nap. Um, and just really, I was going to say cut off any sources of stress, really. I mean, sometimes you can't, but then it's like, okay, how can you delegate things that will help you to take things off of your plate so that you can help support yourself to manage that stress better? I hear from a lot of women who have families and partners and jobs and very, very, very busy lives who don't even have 10 minutes to themselves in a day.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, how can you delegate certain tasks in your home and in your life that can give you at least 10 minutes a day for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
prioritize that? You know, my self-care routine has been a lifesaver, taking baths, treating myself to a nice something, making a nice, healthy, nourishing meal, or even like a pot, like treating myself to my favorite comfort food once in a while, allowing myself to have that
Mm-hmm.
has been really helpful. But it's easy for me to say because I'm single and don't have any kids. But for these women who are just like overwhelmed in their lives, you have to make it a priority to give that time for yourself.
Mm. Yeah, almost
Not
schedule it
once
like a
a day,
need.
once a week, an hour a week to give yourself a silent bath or like just give yourself some time.
Mm-hmm.
The whole airplane analogy, you can't put on the air mask until you have to put yours on first.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, because I also have some clients that are busy moms, work from home. That's also tricky. I think there's like a new work from home sort of energy where you're never leaving work then. Like you're constantly walking by your computer and your mind's kind of on that. And we were talking about having sort of a somatic kit, like, and starting kind of like my vagina, my vulvodynia is like my little ally. Whenever noticing where in your body is saying that like the tension is starting to kind of rise, and have like an adult coloring book or I have this massive pad of paper that I love and some markers, and I'll just put on two songs and I will color whatever comes out, and it's always what needed to kind of debuzz because I'm in the right side, like right part of my brain. But having a playlist and saying, for one song, I'm going to get up and like move my body and then take a deep breath and drink water. It's these little intermittent things, and building them in throughout the day. So it's less of like, I have to work so hard to have a moment to breathe. It's like building in a moment to breathe so that you can work and play hard.
Hmm. Yeah, music too helps
So much.
so much. Yeah. Yeah.
My other new favorite thing, I got a mini trampoline and
Oh yeah?
yeah, I have. It's
It's
usually
really good
like
for you.
huh?
That's really good for you.
It's awesome. It's good for like lymphatic drainage. It's playful. It feels, it's if I'm not feeling like getting up and going somewhere to work out, I always make a deal with myself. I'm going to bounce until it's not fun anymore. And I'm going to do it per song, not per time. So it's like, okay, what vibe do I feel like I want to do? Like, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, just keep a little mini trampoline. It's a freaking lifesaver.
Should get one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What helped you with your vulvodynia the most?
Oh, well, my vulvodynia was a journey. As all of it is. I didn't even know what vulvodynia was. I just knew that I was a newlywed that was experiencing really, really painful sex. And my partner just kept saying, well, it's just because I'm really big. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's helpful. Like, because you're not shrinking and I don't understand what to do with this. So I, yeah, I lived for a while with just, like really, really painful sex. And then, step one, I think was back to the advocating for yourself. If something feels bad in your body for a long period of time, it's your body's way of telling you something. And so step one, it was funny. We were in the military, and so we were stationed in Alabama of all places. And like, I remember driving a couple hours because that was the closest person to get like this kind of test from. I remember walking into this office and, putting my feet up in the stirrups and this person touching around the outside of the vaginal opening, taking notes. And within 2 minutes was like, oh yeah, you have vulvodynia. I was like, what? Like, what is that? And, so step one was going in and having a medical person look at it and tell me, like,
Sure.
what is this thing? And then the other part, it's like back to kind of what we were talking about with learning. I started going to a pelvic floor physical therapist, and pelvic floor PTs are superheroes without the cape. Like I just because what it was starting to be is the only time that my vagina was having any contact, it was sexual and it was pressure and it was like I need to make this man happy. And I didn't have a brain body connection. And so pelvic floor PTs, usually take a gloved hand, lots and lots of, vagina, like approved lubricant, and started to go in and literally find the tension points and pieces. And just like massage therapists, like work on the brain body connection so that then when I was feeling touched, I wasn't getting the sensations like I would feel like I was being stung by bees, or there was like a knife coming up inside of me, or like sandpaper, or I would be like dripping wet and I would feel like I was dry. And it was like my brain was just was interpreting the signals that it was getting incorrectly. And so what I remember asking a lot of questions of my pelvic floor PT and being like, I feel really, really dry. And she would say, put your hand out and I'm gonna show you the wetness that's on my gloved hand. And I would be like, whoa, that's what I feel like. And she's like, yeah, that's what you feel like. This is you. And we would just talk through it. And I would cry a bunch and I was just like, wow, I'm not broken. I just have a shit ton of generational trauma living in my pelvic floor. And also, so yeah, pelvic floor PT, shout out to you. You're freaking next level. I actually had cortisone injections done in some of those internal things. It was very painful, but there was a couple muscles that just wouldn't let go. And the next part was I learned that my partner was cheating on me. And so my body was like, she knew before I knew, like she was like, this isn't safe. We're not happy about this. And so it moved into a contraction or a constriction mode. And I'm not saying that everybody that has vulvodynia has a partner that's out doing whatever, but I needed to look at what was going on in my life and where and how I was not actually safe, where my vagina wasn't actually safe. And so when when I went through my very crazy divorce, the next partner that I was with was so patient. He was like, I would be like, no, 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 it's gonna hurt. And he's like, what if you breathe just a couple more seconds and see what happens? And I remember he would do these beautiful long sessions of going down on me, and I was just like, oh, like, okay. Because I had assigned the value that my vagina was a problem. And then she was showing up in powerful ways of that. So having a healthy partner, also vaginal dilators can be really supportive, like in the bathtub, touching your own anatomy, figuring out like, oh, like this feels good to me, like finding toys and playing with those, like making it feel educating myself on me has been really, really helpful. And then um, like kind of moving away from even the stigma and shame. And then I kind of became my own best advocate when I would go to other appointments. Like every time I went into the gynecologist, I was like, my body has vulvodynia. This is what it is. I need a lot of verbal conversation whenever you're about to insert the speculum. I love lots of lube. Thanks so much. So my body heard my mouth saying what I needed. And then that also became this beautiful newfound experience of trust with my vagina and my head and my mouth. And I was like, I'm going to look out for you. Like an adult to your adult is on board. I am no longer just a subservient woman that is here for this man's needs. Like you matter. And showing up kind of in that way, whether it's the clothes that I wear, whether it's how I talk about my own vagina, whether it's how I speak about vulvodynia, is this fascinating thing that let me learn to be the best ally to my body. All of those things, plus the support of like pelvic floor PTs. And when I did the Candida cleanse too, I had some surges of vulvodynia and was like, oh, this is emotional. Like we're moving through those emotions, not shying away from emotions. All of that's super, super important. I am high key obsessed with vulvodynia, talking about it, making sure that people know that it's a real thing that happens. And I could not even get over how many doctors had never, again, heard of it. And so again, we get to be our best advocates, our best allies when it comes to what our vaginas need.
Isn't it crazy, just with both of our stories, like the psychosomatic connection to our vaginal health. And like, if you told me this stuff 10 years ago, I never would have believed it.
Absolutely.
And it's really, and I felt this for myself, and I tell clients this all the time, especially with the herpes stuff, it really is creating a sense of safety within yourself and a
Mm-hmm.
sense of trust and a sense of like home within yourself. It really is nurturing like your inner child.
Mm.
Because most of us, when we deal with these things, what's wrong with me? And we start being really hard on ourselves. And I'm like, if a friend told you that they were going through something like that, would you talk to them the same way you talk to yourself? No, you wouldn't.
Absolutely
And
not.
it really is like taking care of your inner little girl and loving her and showing up for her and, telling her these things so that you can trust yourself, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in whatever environment, relationship, whatever situation you're in. I used to get herpes outbreaks when I would be with a partner who I didn't feel safe with, and
Mm-hmm.
my vagina knew before I did it,
Right.
before I did. And it's like, okay, how can I remind myself that I'm safe no matter what? Because I am safe within
Mm.
myself and I am okay. I'm going to be okay. Even if this guy's a twat, just for fun, whatever, I'm still okay. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, it's such a good point. And I think it goes back to, even the stigma around pain and, there's something wrong with you kind of thing. Like, what if, I love to work with my clients on the idea of like, instead of trying to turn down whatever sensation your body's having, the sensation is neutral. It's providing a message. And half the time, like putting your hand on a specific part of your body and just saying, like, I'm listening. What do you have to share with me? And it's funny, even saying that, my vagina's like, oh, are we doing a thing? I'm like, no, girl, we're just talking about it. Um, because it's that like taking care of your inner child and um, being, yeah, moving away from assigning value of you're a problem and more of thank you for telling me some new information. I am receptive and open to listening. There's, there's people out there. There's the Yoni Nutritionist that you will find, and you will feel so much less shame over your body because that doesn't have to be the answer.
No, and it doesn't have to be the story because you can reframe your mind, like you were saying, what is this trying to teach me? How can I learn from this? What can I do differently to manage this?
Mm,
Really start feeling empowered in yourself by taking back control over your health. And especially when you're dealing with this stuff for long periods of time, like so many
mhm,
of us are, and we just get used to it. It does create a trauma,
mm,
fucking stressful. It's traumatic. It's awful. And coming back and out of that is a lot of hard work too.
mhm,
When
mhm.
you don't get infections anymore and you manage these things, and it's like, okay, well, how now can I start being able to enjoy sex and relax without worrying that this is going to happen again, without feeling super self-conscious about what's going on down there? That's a whole nother thing,
Oh my gosh, a whole nother podcast.
Many layers.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the main thing to come home to is that your body is not a problem. I tell my clients that so often, your body is not a problem. Like, and I think that in and of itself it's part of my own sacred rebellion against, like there's some shit that's going to stop with me, with my line, of generational trauma that's not going to be, it's not going to have a space.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, like you're saying, I also think that reframing going into doctor's offices. And like, I have some friends that literally will ask me to come with them for their PAPs because I'll ask questions like, like, oh, how is her cervix? Like, like where is that like moved around and what angle is it at? And like, how like does she have like a deep like vaginal canal or, what are you noticing? And being curious and not going in and assuming that a doctor will know what you want to know about yourself, but asking those questions, I just was like, oh my gosh, like now I don't feel like a stranger in this land that I'm supposed to be managing. And you can ask your doctor these questions too. Like, and a lot of times I've gotten really, really great feedback where they're like, thanks for asking. Nobody asks about that. I'm like, I want to know which way my cervix is pointed because I want to know what positions are going to be best for me. That feels important. And it goes back to prioritizing pleasure and using your voice.
Yeah. I have so many women, afraid of getting colposcopies and pap smears and LEEP procedures managing HPV. And
Hmm.
HPV is a tricky one because, of the fact that it can potentially develop into cancer. Everybody's
Hmm.
worried about that. And HPV is so unpredictable, and a lot of people don't know enough about it. So of course there's so much fear and they go into these appointments with so much fear and shame and guilt. And I'm just like, remember that these are preventative procedures and that it's a good thing. It's a pain in the
Mm.
ass. Nobody likes it. Of course, I've been poked and prodded 10 ways to Sunday. I just got used to it. But it's like, reframe that in your mind, remind yourself, this is a good thing. This is a
Mm.
preventative measure. I'm staying on top of this. It's better
Mm.
for me in the long run. I'm going to do everything that I can to manage it. I can, trust that I'm doing the right things. I can trust my doc. Well, I can't really trust the doctors, but like, I can trust that they are following the standard procedures to stay on top of it. So that's what I try to tell people. It's never pleasant,
Hmm.
obviously, but there's when you can reframe it to think of it in a positive way rather than a scary way, it changes the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the eliminating the fear from your mind and your pussy. Like
Yeah.
neither one of
And
them
then
need to
your
be
pussy
afraid.
will just like, relax.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I learned through pelvic floor PT that even when because they'll say things like, gather up like a Kegel, like gather and then bear down, almost like you're like trying to have a bowel movement. My body, when I first started, they would say bear down and it would double down. It would become more tense. And so one thing that I've learned about that is like even using words like relax or what doesn't always work because our bodies are in muscle memory, muscle patterns. And if you don't feel safe, like, and if fear is living within your body in those ways, then it's going to double guard. And so we get to help ourselves be in spaces where we feel safe and empowered. We're using our voices. And yeah, like it starts with the way you talk to yourself about the things that you have, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, totally. And it's the same thing with herpes. People just go into these spirals of anxiety like I used to whenever I would get an outbreak. Oh my God, why is this happening? How did this happen to me? I can't believe I have to deal with this, blah, blah, blah. But then it's just like, just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to feel like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, oh, why is this happening? I'm not a victim. Like now I can say, okay, what is this teaching me? What can I do to give myself compassion through this? What is my
Mm.
body trying to show me? And then really just do my best to take the best care of myself and, go with it rather than resisting it.
Yes.
Because that resistance creates more stress and tension on your body
Yes.
and manifests more issues.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you just got to get to a point where you just got to accept it's hard, but like fuck it.
Yeah.
Like it is a choice. It's like a light that you can switch on and off. Just
Mm.
get to the point of acceptance and be like, okay, I'm gonna go with this and
Yeah.
learn lessons instead of this resistance and that type of energy around it, because that's only hurting you.
It's true. It's true. And people are missing out on some really great sex because I
Yeah.
feel like that, yeah. And we don't need to do that to ourselves.
No.
Hmm. Ah, You are like even more of a gem and a dream than I've even imagined. I could literally talk to you about this for countless, countless hours. But thank you so much for
Oh my
taking
God,
time to
too.
talk with me. And I can just only imagine the ripple effect of your work. And everyone that's listening to this, I will put all of the deets of how you can get a hold of this magical human being. And you can put nice comments in her stuff. And yeah, be ready for, I know you do a Candida cleanse group starting like, New Year, New Yoni, that kind of good vibes. And so people can hop on your train and learn from you and be with you and be inspired by you like me.
Yeah, aw. And it's so nice with the group because you're with other women who, are feeling the same things, and that's healing in itself.
Hmm.
So we have a lot of fun doing it too. So
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much again, and wishing you and your Yoni and your badass body just all the best things as you're navigating being in winter.
thank you.
Amazing. Appreciate you. Talk
Thank
soon.
you so much.
All right. Bye. Whew. Okay. Well, I hope that you were as lit up about this conversation as I was. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here and for being curious about ways to show up differently in your world, whether it's in person, whether it's online, whether it's how you talk to yourself or about yourself, or even the ways that we look at each other as we're interacting with people walking down the street, or even influencers or people that you see that have a lot of followers or things online. There's still human beings. There's a human being behind that account. And I just so appreciated this part of the conversation as well. If you have questions or are interested in taking care of your gut health, vaginal health, or your nervous system, those are big things that both Adrienne and I are really passionate about. And so in the show notes, I will put all the information about her Fuck Candida diet that will be coming up. She launches a new kind of cohort starting in January. New Year, New Yoni. And then also she has a healing herpes holistically program and just all sorts of good information. I will put her Instagram on there so you can go and glean more wisdom and things from her. And also, if you have struggled with painful sex, or if you have different versions of shame, or your mind, the channels that you are even talking to yourself in when you are in intimate situations, feel like it's stopping you from being in your full expansion and expression of self, that is one of my favorite realms to be in. I love to help high achievers and people pleasers drop into your body. And yeah, it's a special zone. And I will say that after my own process with healing or managing my vulvodynia symptoms, I have learned so much about the connection between the brain and the body and all the stories that pop up around that. And so what would it feel like if maybe this upcoming year, this is the year that you get to put aside some of those purity culture, old stories from exes, the things you see out in the media, or even just the stories that you've decided about yourself. What if this is the year that you get to be the hero in your own sexual story? Wouldn't that be awesome? I would love to be a part of that process with you. I will drop my link to be able to schedule a call with me, and also my Instagram if you want to follow along and learn about all things embodiment, wellness and pleasure, play, all the good stuff. So thanks for being here. This was another episode of Change the Channel podcast.